They said it was just a family visit, but the moment those images hit the internet, everything changed because this wasn't just about remembering Princess Diana anymore. This was about who controls her legacy, who profits from her memory, and who just crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. Prince William stayed silent for years, watching, waiting, absorbing every interview, every documentary, every carefully crafted narrative, but this time something snapped. Because according to reports, what he saw wasn't grief, it wasn't tribute, it was something else entirely. Something that felt calculated, something that felt public when it should have been sacred, something that looked to him like exploitation hiding behind emotion. And here's where it gets darker, because this wasn't just about a visit, this was about a promise. A quiet, unspoken agreement between two brothers, Prince William and Prince Harry, forged in the shadow of unimaginable loss. An agreement to protect their mother's memory, to keep certain things private, untouched, untarnished, but now that agreement feels shattered, broken behind closed doors, and Prince William knows it.
Prince William exploded, and can you blame him? Absolutely not. By releasing pictures of Archie and Lily at Althorp with flowers about to visit Princess Diana's grave for the first time, this couple who have stooped to disgusting lows in their past, I personally believe hit a new one.
When news broke that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were returning to the United Kingdom, the public thought they knew the story. Invictus Games, family obligations, a simple visit. But beneath that surface, there was another plan quietly unfolding. One that would pull them straight into the most sensitive place imaginable, the final resting place of Princess Diana. And at first, it sounded innocent. A father wanting his children to connect with their grandmother. Archie, Lilibet, a moment of history, a moment of healing. But then, the details started slipping out, and suddenly what looked private didn't feel private anymore.
Writer told us they hope to visit Princess Diana's burial site at Althorp Estate in Northamptonshire, England, because there's no depth they won't stoop to for clout and attention and to get written up in the press. When you are a grifter through and through, when you've got grifting in your blood, when you are a born grifter, when you're gonna die a grifter, this is what you're gonna do.
Because during that visit, something happened that changed the entire tone of this story. Meghan Markle shared an image, not just any image, an image of Archie and Lilibet walking through Althorp Estate, the very ground tied to Princess Diana's childhood, the very path leading to her grave, flowers in hand, cameras present, a moment that should have been silent suddenly broadcast to millions. And that's when the backlash began, because people started asking questions, hard questions. Why was this photographed? Why was this shared? Why was something so deeply personal turned into content? And more importantly, who decided that this moment belonged to the public?
Eagle-eyed fans caught the reveal in Harry's wife Meghan Markle's latest photo dump from their summer trip to the UK. Check out this photo, the couple's 5-year-old daughter, Lilibet, walking in nature at what appears to be Althorp, Diana's family estate where she grew up and where she's buried. Ahead of her, Harry, and Lily's big brother, 7-year-old Archie, who was carrying a bouquet of flowers.
The anger wasn't random. It was rooted in history, because Princess Diana wasn't buried in a public place by accident. Her family made a deliberate decision, a private island, a secluded location, a space designed to protect her from exactly this cameras, crowds, constant attention, the very forces that haunted her during her life. So when those images surfaced, it didn't feel like a tribute. It felt like a contradiction, a complete reversal of everything that burial site was meant to represent.
There's nothing wrong with them visiting Diana's grave, but why did she have to disrespect Harry and her children by posting about it? This is a woman who's claimed for years that all she wants for her family is privacy, and then she commoditizes her children and the memory of her deceased mother-in-law for the world to see. This, perhaps more than anything else, exposes what a hypocrite and liar Meghan is.
And somewhere in the middle of royal duties, Prince William saw it, and everything changed. Because to him, that place isn't just a location, it's sacred ground, untouched, protected. Even he, the future king, has never shared images from visits to that grave, never turned those moments into public material, never crossed that line. So when he saw it happen, the question hit him immediately. Why now? Why this? Why them? Here's what makes this even more explosive. Prince William wasn't angry about the visit itself. Not the children, not the connection, not the remembrance. What hit him was the decision to make it visible, public, shareable, permanent, because once something like that goes online, it never disappears. And this is where the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. Prince William and Catherine have taken their children to that same place. Quietly, privately, no cameras, no posts, no headlines. Those moments exist only inside their family, untouched by the outside world. But Prince Harry and Meghan Markle chose a different path, a path where private becomes public, where memory becomes material, where a visit becomes content. And suddenly, it's not just about one visit anymore. It's about a pattern, a growing pattern that some royal watchers say has been building for years, because Princess Diana's presence hasn't faded from Prince Harry's public life. It's everywhere. Interviews, documentaries, books, speeches, projects. Again and again, her story returns. And every time it does, attention follows. And that's where the suspicion starts to grow, because critics are now asking a dangerous question: is this remembrance or is it strategy? Because let's look at the timeline. The Oprah interview, the memoir, the Netflix series, each one tied in some way to the past, to the royal family, to Princess Diana. And now this visit, this image, this moment, is it coincidence? Or is it something else? Because here's the uncomfortable reality. Every time Diana's story is mentioned, people watch, people listen, people react. And in a world driven by attention, that matters. And Prince William sees it. He feels it. And according to reports, he's no longer shocked, just devastated. Because this isn't just about the past anymore. It's about the future, about what comes next, about what happens as another major anniversary approaches, about whether this was a one-time decision or the beginning of something much bigger. And then another layer emerges, a deeper one, a more serious one, because insiders claim Prince William believes something even more personal has been broken trust. The trust built during the 20th anniversary of Princess Diana's passing, when both brothers came together, created documentaries, spoke openly, closed a chapter. And just when it already feels like the line has been crossed, the situation gets even more unsettling, because what looks like one emotional decision is now being framed as part of something much larger, something far more deliberate, something that may not stop here. And here's where it turns even more intense, because some commentators are pointing directly at the timing. Business ventures slowing down, major deals ending, new projects struggling to gain the same traction. And suddenly, the one connection that still guarantees attention, headlines, and emotional engagement is the one that can never be replaced: Princess Diana. That's where the accusations become sharp, uncomfortable, almost brutal, suggesting that this legacy has become one of the last remaining sources of public interest, powerful enough to carry entire narratives on its own. But then another claim enters the conversation, and this one changes everything, because according to insiders, this might not stop at images or visits. There are whispers growing louder about something far bigger being planned: a project, a production, a full-scale documentary centered around Princess Diana, with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle right at the center of it. And suddenly, that visit to Althorp doesn't just look like a family moment anymore. It starts to look like a setup, a beginning, a foundation for something that hasn't even been fully revealed yet. And that's the moment where the story shifts from emotional to strategic. Because if cameras were already present, if images were already captured, then what else was happening that the public hasn't seen? What else was recorded? What else is waiting to be released? And for Prince William, this is where the fear becomes real. Not just anger, not just frustration, fear. Because if this becomes a pattern, if private moments continue turning into public material, then the one place that was supposed to remain untouched may no longer be protected at all. And that's why the next development feels almost unbelievable. Because reports now suggest that Prince William has started quietly exploring options that would have once seemed impossible. Legal options, logistical options, the kind of discussions that don't happen unless something has gone very, very wrong. The idea being considered: moving Princess Diana's resting place itself, taking it away from Althorp, taking it out of reach, placing it somewhere completely controlled, completely protected, somewhere that could never again become the backdrop for public content. And just think about how serious that is, because that grave isn't just a location. It belongs to the Spencer family. It's tied to history, to heritage, to decisions made decades ago. Moving it wouldn't just be difficult, it would require agreements, approvals, negotiations that could take years. And yet, the fact that this idea is even being discussed shows how far things have escalated behind the scenes. Because for for Prince William, this is no longer about reacting to one moment, it's about preventing the next one. And at the center of all of this is a broken understanding that goes back years. A belief that after the 20th anniversary, after the documentaries, after the shared tributes, there would be closure. That the story of Princess Diana would be respected, preserved, and protected from becoming something repeatedly revisited in public. But that expectation now feels completely shattered. And what makes this even more complicated is that Prince William isn't just dealing with public actions, Prince William is dealing with something deeply personal. Because every time that past is reopened, it doesn't just create headlines, it brings back memories that were never meant to be relived over and over again. And so the tension continues to build. Because on one side, there's a growing push to keep telling the story, to keep bringing it into the spotlight, to keep using it in ways that draw attention and engagement. And on the other side, there's an equally strong determination to protect it, to shield it, to keep it as something private, something sacred, something untouched by the outside world. And right now, those two forces are on a collision course. Because if a documentary really is coming, if more images really are released, if more moments really are turned into public content, then this situation isn't going to fade away. It's going to explode into something much bigger, something that could force decisions no one ever thought would be necessary. And that leaves one final, uncomfortable question hanging in the air. Has this already gone too far, or is the most explosive part of this story still waiting to unfold?